So we are back, and it's been a while since Peanut Gallery and I have done a debate because there really hasn't been anything to debate up until now. Peanut Gallery believes that the WWE ID program, which is the Independent Wrestling Development Program, is the final death nail for AEW as like an entity. It's basically going to go downhill from here, and I disagree with that. So I have a timer for 3 minutes. Peanut Gallery is going to have 3 uninterrupted minutes.
I probably won't need 3 uninterrupted minutes, but
it was originally going to be 5, but I don't think we need 5.
No.
We're gonna have 3 minutes to talk about it. If Peanut Gallery gets done before, he can say, "Okay, I'm done presenting my argument," and then it'll go to me for 3 minutes, and then we're gonna have a free-form discussion.
Okay.
So, Peanut Gallery, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you have 3 minutes starting right now on why the ID program is the final death nail for AEW. Go.
All right, so just to preface this, I don't think AEW is going to go away tomorrow, but I think that the ID program is in its finality has become the other avenue for people to sign with the WWE. So way back in the day, I mean, this was even up until recently, WWE's focus has traditionally been on bringing in stars from outside of the wrestling industry, outside of the indies, and then building up their stars from there. And that has been the case for the longest of times, even before the current iteration of NXT. So OVW, for example, FCW, Deep South Wrestling have they have signed some indie wrestling stars, but I think the vast majority of them have been people from outside of the industry. And that is evident in cases like John Cena, in cases like Brock Lesnar, in cases like Randy Orton, for example. So all those people, they didn't have like indie wrestling background. They came from different backgrounds. And so what the WWE, and again, going back to the original NXT, the original NXT did have some indie stars, but their main focus, I think, was on just building up superstars for the main WWE roster, which is why you saw some stars go in and some stars not. Now, with the WWE ID program, they are specifically hunting down for independent wrestlers.
You have halftime.
Independent wrestlers that clearly come from the indie scene that the WWE has identified as potential, I guess, recruits, if you want to say that, for their program. I don't know the intentions of the program, but why I think AEW is not going to survive this is because AEW was largely seen by a lot of these indie wrestlers as an avenue for them to get mainstream exposure. I think that indie wrestlers are going to, I guess, really weigh in their choices when it comes to their prospects. So AEW is not the only path now. There is now a path for them to go into the WWE. And the popularity of this program, as we have seen so far, has been, I guess, way overwhelming. Like, I don't even think I had the expectation, but there has been so many indie wrestlers who have expressed interest, who at least announced their expressed interest, that I think the pool for talent for AEW is going to dwindle, and then eventually they're going to run out of people that bring in the new star power, the new blood, and that is why I think that AEW is just going to struggle from here. So that's all I have.
Okay, you had about 5 seconds, so you actually almost used up the entire 3 minutes. So now with you, I am going to say why it is not the final nail in the coffin for AEW starting right now. Because I believe the final nail in AEW's coffin has already been dealt. This is just, you're basically beating the dead horse. There is no reason for this other than WWE wants more people to have this opportunity because it's always been a struggle. It's always been an uphill battle in a lot of ways, especially for the indie wrestlers to get to WWE. Because you are right in one context is that they do look in other avenues when it comes to that, because sometimes indie wrestlers, when they get really big on, throughout the line, they think that they are this hot shot in the shot glass, and there have been bad experiences that WWE have had over the years of signing indie stars. Now, there have been gems like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson. There were a few others that just lost me off the top of my head, but these were indie stars that really had that quintessential star power. But there were other ones like Public Enemy that had a really bad attitude. There are wrestlers who wrestle a certain way, but are harder to acclimate to the WWE way. It's a much different environment. That's why they go to the outside sources, to the athletes, because they don't have the bad practices, and it's easier to create something from nothing instead of breaking something down to rebuild it up. It's going to take more time. I believe the death nail of AEW was the CM Punk footage being released and him being vindicated of his experience next to others who were in the back who clearly lied about that whole thing. That to me was the death nail. And the numbers don't lie. They have been going down and down and down since. The interest is going away, where AEW are so desperate they have to get a pseudo fucking celebrity like the Costco guys to wrestle on their show. And I don't care if he's had wrestling experience. He is not a wrestler. He was not a wrestler. Just like Logan Paul. He was a celebrity who took to wrestling. And I think this is a great avenue because, and also at the same time, not every indie star is going to be accepted. Right. There has to be a place at the end of the day for them to go. If AEW is going to last, they have to make this more appealing instead of these big, unnecessary money contracts in front of nobody because it's reputational. And I think they're already dead in the water. They're just hemorrhaging money at this point. And that's why I think this is not the final nail, because we're already within the parish song of AEW.
Okay, so
now free form up until whenever we feel like.
So I alluded to this earlier, but I think that the reason why people are still signing with AEW at this point is because AEW will just overpay for them. And I think that these wrestlers either know that their time is up or they want more freedom for some reason or whatever the case may be. Essentially, Tony Khan is just a money pit and a mark for them. He's big money mark. I mean, that's what he is. And he wants these toys to play with, and they are willing to say, okay, well, I will just take this money and do something. I don't know. They'll just do whatever. So I think in that aspect, I think you're right. WWE didn't need the ID program to really kind of kill it off, but I think the WWE ID program provided an avenue for enough wrestlers who were serious about their craft, but were worried about their pathway towards a future in the WWE.
And here's the other thing. If this was, I don't think it's maybe deliberately there to kill off AEW, but if that was the case, then why aren't companies like GCW or TNA or anything like that? Those fans aren't worried about this program at all.
No, it's only the AEW people that are worried about this program. And I think the reason is because
it doesn't matter. This is already not, like I said, it's not the death nail. We're already within the parish song of AEW dying off because they think they're competitors.
And also, I think that they're not worried about it because these companies don't have the reach that AEW has, and AEW is pretty much a cult. You know, anything to threaten their bottom line is just.
And the AEW, the people don't gravitate towards AEW because they like AEW. They gravitate towards AEW because they hate WWE.
Yeah.
No other company has that.
No.
GCW is for the people who like hardcore wrestling. Right. That's their little avenue, and they get their fill of it and whatever. And it's all well and good. And TNA was always that super indie.
Yeah. And there are people who are part of GCW, who are part of MLW, who have become a part of this program.
Yep.
And people with fans within that promotion are celebrating.
Also keep in mind, we're only talking about United States. We're not even talking about Mexico and South America, which is really starting to boom. Australia is starting to boom with their own thing. You have Japan, obviously. China's really starting to get into wrestling too. There are a lot of other countries that, you know, if you don't get into the ID program or whatever, if you want to save your reputation, you do that. I mean, going to AEW, like I said, I just don't think it's really anything there.
The only, like I said, the only reason that people are going to AEW at this point is not because they are passionate about wrestling. I think they are going there because they want to walk all over Tony Khan and just kind of do the little dream match, whatever bullshit, and B, to get the money. Because obviously these wrestlers were being way overpaid.
But I also think they don't want to. I wonder if they believe going to a smaller promotion is a step down for them, which is why they go to AEW, because AEW is technically still in a arena-based platform. And I think that's silly. That attitude needs to go away, and it needs to go away now. There's nothing wrong with going from WWE to TNA or GCW. Look at people like Matt Cardona, Kurt Angle, Sting. All of these people made a name for themselves almost outside of WWE. Kurt Angle was in TNA for longer than he was in WWE. Sting, to me, I know Sting more for TNA than I know him for WCW, but that's because when I started watching wrestling, it was at the very end of WCW. So maybe that's there. And then look at Matt Cardona. He's the king of the indies. He said he's making more on the indie scene than he was working in WWE. I mean, I think that's awesome. And I think if people really want to take their craft seriously and really want that sort of creative freedom, contact Matt Cardona. See how he did it and really think about your career in that trajectory, and you're going to make a name for yourself. And I think that's the best way to go, is go to the smaller promotions and really showcase what they're missing.
Because WWE ID is not, I don't think, we don't know this for sure. I don't know if WWE ID is even targeting AEW people.
They're not. I think they're only it's a mutual working relationship people, and other than TNA, but they have their own thing going when it comes to there. But with and you know, going back to my other discussion there, because I only had 3 minutes, going from WWE and rebuilding yourself is the best way. Look at Drew McIntyre. Sometimes Jinder Mahal right now is killing it on the indies. And these people are saying, I'm making more money now. Donovan Dijakovic said, I'm the busiest and making more money now than I was in WWE. And he was in that golden era NXT.
And, you know, and it's coming back to my other thing, too, is I think, again, people are going to AEW just because it is, I think they're lazy, greedy, or a mix of both.
I think Triple H said it best. You are afraid of the grind. Matt Cardona probably had every opportunity to sign with AEW.
I don't think he was ever offered an AEW contract.
But he wrestled for them a couple of times. I'm sure maybe they approached him in 2020 when he was originally released. But he's making more money. He's doing better. And look at how you are done in AEW. You're relegated to these smaller shows that nobody cares about, rather than I would rather be the world champion in front of 500 people than a nothing in front of 3/4 of an empty building. It just doesn't look good on my reputation. Look at Ricochet. Ricochet has gone from one of the most critically acclaimed wrestlers to pretty much the whiniest bitch I've ever seen. That guy has lost his goddamn mind.
I know.
He's killing his reputation as we fucking speak.
So does Samantha Irvin. She killed her reputation the minute she left. Oh, my husband's a millionaire. Well, what does that say about being overpaid? He's being way overpaid. He is not worth millions of dollars.
He is not. Now, if it was like Cody Rhodes, who's a merch mover. Is he a merch mover?
Right.
Does he bring in eyes? Is he really a millionaire? Is he really worth $1 million?
No.
Fuck no. Same thing with Okada. But I don't blame them for that. I blame AEW and their terrible booking decisions on everything.
Yeah.
Their merch sucks. I don't know who their graphic designer is, but it should be fucking me because I could do 10 times better with 4 drinks in my system.
And we have to understand too that the people that are being most featured on television every week are the people who do make their own creative decisions.
Yep.
And they're still not moving the needle.
This is not an ID issue. That's that at the end of the day, that's where I'm coming from. AEW's this, like I said, this is all Parrish song. The nail in the coffin was done after the Punk footage. Everything past that has been, we're just singing the graces. This is totally unrelated to what what they were doing within AEW or anything. This is because Triple H and Shawn Michaels went through this.
Mm-hmm.
They worked indies. They know how hard it is to get in there. And you think, oh, it's maybe easier now. Fuck no. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
It actually might be harder now because the exposure is so great. The accessibility to go to other promotions is so much easier to now.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to CMLL and AAA from a phone call now. Instead, you would have to send in fucking tapes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't send in tapes. You send a message over a social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier.
Yeah. Okay.
To access them. That's why I don't believe it is the death nail. This is just another opportunity for WWE to
source talent.
It's just a more organized way of doing it instead of William Regal or Jim Ross going to a random place randomly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think any indie promotion worth its weight in spit is going to be right on board with this. In fact, I see this more as a shot to the NWA than I do to a shot at AEW. Talk about a death nail. This is the death nail for NWA. Why the fuck would I bother signing with the NWA that don't run pay-per-views? Instead, I'm an indie promotion. I have a little bit of a balance. I'm going to contact WWE and say, can I be part of this ID program thing? That's cool as shit. That's just me.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, I don't have anything else to add. But when we come back, we have something fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh, God.